The Geese Girl. A tale of truth and light. Once upon a time, in a kingdom wrapped in golden hills and silver rivers, there lived a young princess named Elara. She was gentle and graceful, with eyes that shimmered like morning light on water. Her heart was pure, so pure that even the birds seemed to sing for her alone. But her world was about to change. When Elara came of age, her mother, the queen, arranged for her to marry a prince from a faraway land. A noble young man who had only seen her in a portrait, yet vowed to cherish her forever. Before Elara's journey, the queen gave her a small white handkerchief, embroidered with 3 golden tears. "My child," said the queen softly, "these are my tears, for love, protection, and hope. As long as you keep them close, no harm shall reach you." Elara pressed the handkerchief to her heart, and promised to return as a worthy queen. The journey was long and lonely. The princess traveled with her maid, and her beloved talking horse, Falon, across forests, rivers, and mountains. At first, all was peaceful, but as the days passed, the maid's heart filled with envy. "Why should you have everything?" she whispered one night. "The silks, the jewels, the prince's love, while I walk in your shadow." Elara looked at her kindly. "Because I was born to it, but that does not make me better than you." Those gentle words, meant to comfort, only deepened the maid's hatred. On the 7th day of their journey, they stopped beside a lonely stream. While Elara knelt to drink, the maid suddenly drew her dagger and said coldly, "Give me your gown, your jewels, your crown." Elara stared at her in disbelief. "What are you saying?" "I am saying," the maid hissed, "that I will be the princess now, and you will serve me. If you refuse, I will tell the guards you tried to escape, and you will vanish into the forest forever." The princess trembled. She had no power, no protection, only Falon and her mother's handkerchief. So she obeyed. The maid forced her to change clothes, taking the royal gown for herself and leaving Elara in rags. Then, with a cruel smile, she demanded the handkerchief too. But as the maid tried to snatch it, the magic in it glowed faintly and slipped from her hands, carried away by the wind. The maid cursed. "Then you are nothing now," she said. "You will say nothing, or I will have your horse slain." Falon neighed in anger, but Elara silenced him with tears. "Be still, my friend," she whispered. "We will endure this." When they reached the prince's castle, the false bride was greeted with joy and celebration. The real princess, thin, dusty, and silent, was sent to work among the servants. And so, the Goose Girl was born. Every morning, she led the geese to the meadow, barefoot and humble. The villagers mocked her, unaware that a crown once rested upon her head. But she bore it all with quiet grace. Only Falon, who was kept in the royal stable, knew her sorrow. "Oh, my dear Falon," she whispered through the window each night, "what has become of us?" And Falon would answer, "Truth cannot hide forever, my princess. It shines, even beneath dust." Days turned into weeks. The false bride grew restless. She feared the Goose Girl's calmness, that strange, silent strength that seemed to glow even in misery. Meanwhile, the prince noticed something odd. His bride was harsh and selfish, nothing like the gentle soul from the letters and stories he'd been told. Then one morning, while riding through the fields, he saw the Goose Girl singing softly to her flock. Her song was simple, but filled with such sorrow that even the wind seemed to pause and listen. The prince couldn't forget her voice. He returned again the next day, and again after that. Finally he asked her, You seem not like other maidens. Tell me, why do your eyes hold both sadness and hope?" Elara bowed. "Because, my lord," she whispered, "I have lost everything. And yet, I still believe kindness can return it." The prince was moved, though he didn't yet know who she was. One evening, he invited her to tell a story at the castle feast. "A story," he said, "of your choosing." And so, Elara told her tale, as if it were just a fable. She spoke of a princess betrayed by her maid, of a lost handkerchief, and a faithful horse who still whispered the truth. Her voice trembled, but she did not cry. When she finished, the prince's eyes were full of tears. He rose slowly and said, "My lady, that story is not a tale, is it?" The hall fell silent. The false bride's face turned white as snow. The prince summoned the horse, and when Falon neighed, the truth could no longer be denied. The wicked maid begged for mercy, but she was sent far away, never to harm another soul. And as for Elara, the true princess, she was restored to her rightful place. When she and the prince married, the kingdom rejoiced. The fields that once seemed dull burst into bloom, and the geese followed her carriage as if to honor their gentle friend. Elara forgave her maid, for she believed that hatred only chained the heart. She ruled with kindness, and whenever she passed the meadows, she would whisper to the wind, "Patience, truth, and love, they always find their way home." And from that day, people remembered her not only as the Goose Girl, but as the queen with the soft heart and the unbroken soul.